Hey, we're back with the Giving While Black podcast. You know why we're here, to uplift, amplify, and celebrate Black philanthropy and people of color giving back in their communities every single day. And hey, my name is Baron J, and I'm your host for the Giving While Black show. Today, we're going to be talking to a young man who is a philanthropist, but he's also a businessman. He's the youngest city council member in the history of Rocky Mount. He is an entrepreneur, he is a singer, he's a pastor, and so much more. But more importantly, he's a godly man, he's a family man, and we're excited to talk to TJ Walker today. You don't want to miss this episode because he's going to share with you some powerful concepts about philanthropy. We'll see you in the next episode. Hello, this is Baron J from the Giving While Black podcast. We are here to uplift, amplify, and celebrate. And guess what? We have another guest that we're going to celebrate today. And I'm excited about having this young man on the show. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He's a pastor, he's a singer, he's a businessman and entrepreneur, he's a city councilman, a philanthropist, but most importantly, he's a family man and a godly man. TJ, welcome to the Giving While Black podcast. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm glad to be a part of what you have to share with the masses.
Awesome, man. I'm so glad to have you here. We were connected through a mutual friend. And as I was looking at your bio, I was like, wow, this young brother's doing some things in the community. And I always want to talk to people who are doing things in the community because we have to celebrate each other and the accomplishment that we have. I don't think as African-American people, we take enough time to celebrate sometimes. Sometimes we're in the grind so much that we don't take time to celebrate. So I'm glad to have you here and the opportunity to celebrate you. Man, tell us a little bit about you and who is TJ Walker?
Oh, man, born and raised in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Graduated from Rocky Mount Senior High School, where we won a state championship in high school basketball, 2010.
So you a hooper?
Yeah, man. I hoop a little bit, not as much as I used to, but yeah, that's still my first love. So went on to North Carolina Central University, graduated with a degree in psychology, and came back home to Rocky Mount and began to sort of just dig my teeth into some of the grassroots work here. Created a nonprofit which stemmed from some of my professors at North Carolina Central University. Conversation with them and entered into the world of politics. Got married, 3 kids, and man, just enjoying life, man. Pastoring at First Baptist Church of Weldon, and really just wanted to give back and instill all that I've learned, all that I'm learning into the next generation, because somebody did it for me. And I believe that's what really makes, our next generation leaders, our next generation entrepreneurs, and just our next generation in general. It's somebody pouring into them.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, let's go back to your North Carolina Central days. And how was it attending the HBCU?
Central was crazy, best experience of my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade my collegiate experience for anything in the world. The HBCU experience is hand down, top tier, most elite level of education, and not just on a social side, but even looking, educationally with your professors. Having one-on-one time. There was never a time where you couldn't get a lunch with your professor, or have a meeting, or they're making sure that you're staying on track, and they're showing genuine love and accountability towards you as a student, as an individual, that will make his mark in society. So I believe HBCU experience, man, for me was phenomenal, life changing, and because of those professors I had and people I met, they understood the importance of what I needed during those 5 years. It took me 5 years to graduate, so they understood the importance of what I needed during that time to really help me be where I am today and where I'm going in the future.
Yeah, man, that's so powerful, man. I was telling, one of my friends, their son is attending an HBCU, and they wasn't quite sure if that was a good fit for him. And I told them, I said, I have never heard anyone say, I wish I wouldn't have went to HBCU.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, I've never heard it before. And I've talked to a lot of people about this. My wife attended Jackson State University, so she's all about them Tigers. But it's just interesting to hear when I hear people talk about HBCUs and the experience that they have. And the reason I asked you that was because you said there was a lot of things that was birthed out of your time there, right? A lot of things, the support from your professors, idea generation, and all those things. Tell me how you first got involved with philanthropy.
Man, I had a college professor, and he actually, he presented us with an actual report called the Hermetic Hypothesis. And after reading that, it was basically dealing with the Hamites in the Bible and how they were treated as if they did not fit into societal norms. And so from that, derived the name of my nonprofit, We Fit, in order to allow minority youth or African American youth, in order to expose them and instill in them that they do fit into a society that constantly tries to make them feel they don't. They don't have to fit in the way the society wants them to fit in, but they have a place, and they matter, and they're valuable. And there are some things that they just need to sharpen up on, to really home in on, in order to reach that pinnacle of saying, hey, look, I do fit in, when people try to tell me I don't. So, and not fit in a sense of like popularity or keeping up with the Joneses, but in a world that constantly tries to tell you that your blackness is not valued. We try to teach the exact opposite and let them know that they are valued. We do care for them, and we know that there's greatness in all of us and in all of them. And so our job is to try to pour into them and to help them pull that out of themselves.
Yeah, man. I love that name, We Fit, because we know that a lot of our young people do feel displaced. I worked for a nonprofit, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, for a number of years, and I saw it all the time. Young people trying to figure out their place in the world. And so, an organization like yours, man, that's fantastic. I'm definitely going to do some more research and even recommend. So, did you see that growing up? Did you see philanthropy growing up in your own home?
Yeah, my both sides, my mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family, from something as small as when it was time for AAU basketball, before that really blew up to be what it is today, and travel basketball. My grandparents, we used to have like chicken plate sales, man, and different type of sales to raise money for our teams.
That chicken bog, they used to have that chicken bog.
Oh man, they used to make it happen, man. And my grandma would cook meals for my football team for high school, and she didn't charge a dime, and they would help people in the community, and I didn't see them charging people. They wouldn't make excuses about it, like, hey, it wasn't like a pressure thing, like, oh, we got to do this. It was just something in their heart that showed me like giving back was something that was just instilled in them, and the way to do it. There's a way to give back. If you're gonna give and complain about it, you might as well keep whatever it is you're giving. But when you can do it, like it's just second nature, man. That really touched me. unconsciously growing up, and then subliminally, I think was just placed in my psyche.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. That really is powerful, TJ, because I mean, just thinking about our communities years ago, you saw more of that. You saw more of that kind of support, and everybody making sure that their neighbor had what they needed, right?
Yeah.
And that's critical. And one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast, because I want that to come back. Giving while Black, because we have been historical givers, right? And what you just shared about your grandparents, people around you, that's such it makes such an impact in our lives, and that's something that you are sharing, right, to the next generation. I'm sure even as a pastor in your congregation, you have messages about philanthropy. Do you share on the at church as well?
Most definitely, and the Bible teaches us that God loves a cheerful giver.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about. A lot of people think about what to give and what I don't have to give, but it's really about, how are you in the act of giving? How are you as an individual? How is your character when it comes to philanthropy and philanthropic work? So,
yeah,
I definitely try to hit on that as much as possible.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So you came from a family that was philanthropic. You saw it in your own home and in community, but you were still a younger person. Now, when did you start feeling yourself like, man, I'm a philanthropist myself? When did that kind of transpire for you?
I've sort of always been that type of person, man. Even
Okay.
as a child, giving what I had to others that may not have had. That's just always, I would say, from as early as fourth grade, fifth grade. Even if it was a pair of extra shoes I had, and I know a teammate may not have had, or so it's been going on for, I've just, as I've gotten older, and I've been able to, really tap into other resources and other avenues. Financially, I could do more on the financial side than I've probably ever been able to do in my life. But as far as just, my time, my love, and my talents, man, I've always given that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that's one of the reasons why, I felt it was important to have you on the show. And I also think about the power of that word, right? We didn't use that language back in the day about being a philanthropist, What's the power in that word when you think about, man, I am a philanthropist in my community. How can I share that with other young people?
I think the power of it is really embracing it for what it means, and being able to share that with others, so that they too see the power of, hey, this is doable. There are different levels that it can be obtained, and everybody doesn't have to be on the same level of philanthropic sort of initiatives, but the idea of giving and the idea of giving back, and giving to those that are not only less fortunate, but giving to those that need. There's power in that alone, to know that you're able to do that, because we never know when we'll be on the needing end, and so it's a blessing to be able to do it. Regardless of what magnitude you can do it
in. Absolutely, man. We used to have a business some years ago. The business was doing well. We were business of the year. It was in South Carolina, and man, the thing literally just fell apart, right? And I remember, we didn't have a lot of money when we started the business. The business started growing, but we just didn't have the capital, right? And so there was some unfortunate incidents happen because people were intimidated by the model that we had around care for young people. And it was almost like a movie. People, they called the fire marshals in on us. We even had a lady the social service, she said, you guys people, I that this is happening to you all. We ended up closing the business down, and as a result of that, going, tens of $1,000s in debt and needing food. We were needing some support, and then being able to go to places where you didn't feel like you were being judged because you were there trying to get some food and support. So I understand, how that is when you don't have, to your point. So we have to be grateful when we are not on that end, but understanding the challenges that people do have in that particular area when they don't have. Man, what's one of the biggest misconceptions would you say about philanthropy? What's one of the biggest misconceptions?
I think a lot of people feel like you have to have a lot of money to be philanthropic. And that's not necessarily the case, or they feel like you have to have a business.
Yeah.
Or another misconception, is you have to have some type of status or social status. And so I think that's a major those are some major misconceptions about philanthropy that I see.
Yeah. I love what Dr. King says, that everybody can be great because everybody can serve, and definitely serving is being a philanthropist, right? Time, talent, and treasure, because it's the love of mankind. And so one of the things that we highlight and want people to understand is, man, give your time. Give your time away. I don't care if it's an hour, per month, or it's, 10 hours a month or 10 hours a year, however you can fit it into your schedule. So tell us about your nonprofits. There are ways that people can volunteer for your organization?
Definitely, man. So during the summer, we have an 8-week summer program.
Okay.
And people can always come in to help out, to volunteer. It's an all-male program during the summer. And so, primarily we look for male mentorship, male speakers, just to, impart, in their stories into the lives of our young men.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, female partners that are willing to share their stories. It doesn't matter if it's male or female. We try to keep them around other positive male role models that they can sort of glean towards. But gender really doesn't play a huge factor. But that's just what we try to prioritize it if we can. And then this January, we're actually starting an after school program. And so, people can always, again, come and stop by and just impart their wisdom. And it's nothing like the time that you can give to just hearing a child, yet alone, speaking life into them, but just hearing them alone and being a listening ear and being a consistent voice and a consistent ear, that always helps.
Yeah. And what age range are the young men?
8 to 13.
8 to 13. Okay. Why did you select that age particularly?
So at the time, I believe that was the age of my oldest son.
Okay.
He's 13 now. So he was 8 at the time we really first kicked off our first program. And so with my kids being that age, being 2 boys, that helped. And then from a statistical standpoint, it's really that age where you can really make a greater impact in a young man's life, in between that sort of elementary to middle school time before they hit high school, and you can really help to sort of reshape or reframe some of their mental framework.
Yeah. And man, so my last question before we get to the rapid fire, I talked about you are a pastor, you're a singer, you're an entrepreneur, have your own business. Why are you still taking time to be a philanthropist? Because you got a lot of stuff going on. You got 3 children, you're married, you have all this different thing going on. Why you still take that time to have this nonprofit and do the work?
Man, somebody did it for me. I had an uncle. He had a group called Eagle Camp, and it was basically like a sort of like a boot camp from young men.
Okay.
And it was more based around discipline and trying to build character. For me and a few other guys that were in elementary school at the time, that he wanted to grab a hold of before things went left. So that program did it for me
Yeah.
at a very young age, and so it's only right, man, that I do the same for somebody else, even if it's just one child, that you can help to steer or to help change their trajectory. You've done your part, and so, but you got to do it in order to know that you've done it. So,
Yeah.
that's the least I can do, man. It's my obligation, it's my duty.
Yeah. Man, TJ, I celebrate you, bruh. I mean, I really admire that and respect that because, it's people are busy. People got a lot going on. Time goes by really fast, and you have to be really intentional about making a difference in your community. And man, we absolutely celebrate you and thank you, man, for giving back to these young men in your community because they're looking up to you. And they're going to be the ones that's going to be on city council, 10, 15 years ago. From your bio, I read that you were the youngest, right? City council men in the amount. Is that correct?
Sitting and the youngest in history.
Yeah. So in itself, but you can have that you're mentoring now could be even.
And I'm praying.
That would be all. Athlete, you don't want your broken, but these like this.
Yeah, man. We live for them. Actually, man, I think about that all the time. Not just these guys can break any, man. That's how you keep raising the standard.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Man, so I got these 7 fire questions. They're pretty easy, but let's see. Do them in 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Tell me when you're ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. How much does it take to be a philanthropist?
It's no money.
All right. Your proudest moment?
Probably giving to a football team.
Okay. I want to talk to you more about what was the hardest thing you gave away? The hardest thing
gave away. That's I can't. It's not for me to give.
What's the best received?
I've received. Probably a shirt.
Okay. Ready? You going to shout it out?
Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
All right. And thing you like about being a yourself?
I think just that feeling of knowing that you're helping someone else. Just that feeling, it's a humbling feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And had a philanthropic gift. What anything that you can do? What would be your dream?
Create a all-male school, all-male sort of wraparound service.
Okay. What is your favorite charity as your own? And why?
One of my favorites is probably my mentor in Chicago, Corey Brooks.
Okay.
And the work he's doing, he's in the middle of O-Block, Keith, and King Von. Some of the rappers come from today, but the type of work community, man, is second to yeah, he's one of my greatest mentors.
Yeah, that's powerful. So you didn't quite make it, close, but didn't quite. No, one of the questions. Tell me about tell me about some cleats for football.
Yeah, we they needed cleats, and so I made sure that I did what I needed to do, and I able to help me. So actively, to make sure that everybody had cleats and multiple pair of cleats. So it was a beautiful time. I had to, it allowed me to understand, to really a little strong sales internally about cleats being people picking on him or having even deal with while you were a child.
I remember for years, man, and I remember some kids, man, had some toes, and they were embarrassed, about it. So as seemingly simple as people take it for granted because they can go out and buy $150 cleats, but somebody a new pair of cleats, man, that's powerful.
Yeah,
man. So thank you, man. I really appreciate time today. I'd like to leave our guests with this little song that really.
Okay.
So, let's take.
Bless me, God, bless me, bless me, bless for me, bless so everyone can have everything they need. They gotta have everything they need. Bless me, God, has been defeated. Come on, bless me, not just for me, but so everyone.
Isn't that powerful?
That's it, man.
That's it. Franklin says, it's not just for, it's for everybody. And it's wonderful for God to bless us. Obviously has blessed you, but I'm so glad you're about people around and you want to be a blessing. And we just appreciate it and we celebrate and thank you so much for and being with us today.
Thank you for having me, man. You're the best, and I'll make sure your platform with others, man. So
I appreciate it. Thank you, man. And we're so happy to have TJ share his story with us, this phenomenal young man who's given back in his community. And guess what? You can do the same thing. And just remember, it's not about the amount of money you have, but it's about the time that you give and the care and the concern that you have for other people. Remember, we're here to uplift, amplify, and celebrate Black philanthropy and people of color who are making a positive difference in their communities. We'll see you at the next episode.